Oh, no. We went to the 2 instead of the 3.
Oh, there it is. There we
are. Oh, what an awesome way to start our podcast. That is so fantastic. Folks, welcome to another episode of Math on the Rocks, where we demonstrate rockiness right from the freaking go. Right. We can't even get the introduction right because, oh my gosh, that is awesome. I am so glad. Hey, by the way, I just learned my mom listens to our podcast. And
really?
I know. And how I know this is she was specifically watching our Palm Springs episodes, and she told me I need to lose weight. So I'm like, thanks, Mom.
Ouch.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was great. I mean, she's right. So, but that was so awesome, guys. How's it going, Cole? Welcome.
Yeah, no, it's going well. We are getting close to what is a summer slowdown. My fingers are crossed.
Yeah. Now, not getting a summer slowdown is Scott. Scott, where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm in Davis right now, actually learning a little computer science. So I got a 4-day computer science meeting here. So it's kind of fun because we're just close enough to our old stomping grounds from the old COP. So there will be a trip to Rick's coming up here on Thursday on our blowout of town. And last night we ate our little Mexican place we used to like downtown in Midtown. They got one out here in Davis, so
Rick's
pretty good.
And Rick's Desserts. We have,
yep.
The 3 of us have had many evenings at Rick's.
Many evenings there.
And Cole never fails to get like a banana split or something that's bigger than his freaking head. I mean, it's huge. And just the tiniest piece of it. It's awesome.
After eating a squeeze burger and fries, if I remember right.
Right. Oh my gosh, man, good stuff.
Good stuff. So yeah, no, we're up here. It's kind of nice. Got the fam up here. We kicked them down to the pool for a couple of minutes, and yeah,
good.
Get a chance to catch up with you guys
in our Habecker household.
Missed you last time around.
I know. Well, we finally got you around. You're not golfing. Yeah. You're not doing softball. You're not doing these other things. No. My Habecker household, we are now hitting the pool on a fairly regular basis. Jaden will drag me into the pool at a moment's notice, so I have to always be ready.
Does he splash you too a lot? Because my son wants to splash me all the time. That's all he wants to do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, always. We're always playing. Okay. We're roughhousing in the pool. I mean, that's having a young adult with Down syndrome is an absolute journey. Okay.
Absolutely.
Speaking of journeys, California Math Council news. How are we doing, Cole?
We're doing well. We have our webinar series on Thursday this week. So June 19th, we have Tim Weeks joining us from CMC North President. Is going to be leading our webinar this week.
Yep.
And then we are rocking and rolling and wishing and forcing this P2 series into motion.
Good.
With our 5 stops. So it's a lot of good stuff happening there.
Hey, can I confess something about that P2 thing?
Yeah.
One of the things you said was I was holding up the flyer and I can't find the flyer anywhere. Don't tell anybody.
You're definitely holding it up.
This is just between you and me. Like, nobody's going to hear this. I can't find the flyer, so I need your help, man. You've twice sent me emails to, you're including me on the email, but you're telling somebody, oh yeah, Duane's got the flyer. And I'm like, oh damn, I don't have the flyer. I don't know where it is. So I need your help. Please.
I'll make a note of it now to send you the flyer.
Thank you.
For the first time.
But how was the leadership conference? Can we talk about that? I didn't make it, so guys, tell me about it. How'd it go?
Okay, people listening to this podcast, they just need to know how stinking cool California Math Council is. All right, so something I've been preaching for a long time is, while we acknowledge that we are an organization made up of essentially volunteers, we do have one-ish paid position and a temporary paid position, but really we are an organization, a ragtag organization made up of volunteers. All right. The problem is we allow that to almost excuse us not doing some amazing things. Because if you think about California Math Council, we are California, which is the fourth, fifth largest economy in the world. And we need to act like we are the professional organization for math teachers of the fifth largest economy in the world. Like if the
fourth largest economy,
fourth, fifth, whatever, they're always changing, right?
We're ahead of Spain now or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
okay, so that's my point. So let's say the education minister from Spain comes and wants to visit us. We would be genuflecting. We would be all over the place, thinking how awesome this is. And indeed it would be. But God darn it, we're the organization of, let's say, the fourth largest. That's who we are too. And we need to honor it. So I'm proud of the California Math Council because we went up to Sacramento to talk to our legislators and start lobbying on behalf of good math education to our policymakers, our lawmakers. The first day we learned about stuff and how to talk to them and how to be efficient, which I'm totally not being efficient right now. But then we also learned what to expect. And then the next day, the big focal point of the day was we walked right up to the Capitol building and did it. Cole, what was your experience?
It was really great. I got to meet with a lot of new people too. I was a little, going into that group and thinking I know some people and I want to be with them and kind of connect to them but it was really nice to connect with other statewide math leaders that I had not had an opportunity to really connect with in that way. And really hear about not just, so going to the Capitol and that part was really, really impactful, but it was equally impactful for me to hear about some of the local things that were happening that I was able to then kind of reflect on and like, how do I either bring that to my area or how can I capitalize on knowing that somebody else is doing something like that as like a launch pad, to dive into some of that work. And so it was great. Everyone that I talked to seemed to really enjoy the overall experience. And a lot of folks said like we need to be doing more of those types of things. Because as everyone listening and as we all know, it's the state of math education in the state is in a desperate need of some shaking to get us to where we need to be. And so it's going to take a lot of us that are committed to doing that, working alongside, policymakers and and people that have the control of the budget and the funds to make those shifts happen.
Right. Boy, that's a perfect segue to our topic this week. All right. So here's what I want to pull up a browser. And so, Cole, you and I have been reading this article for a while. Scott has had, I don't know, a couple of hours to think about this, really, maybe an hour. But this idea that Michael Kirst he wrote about in this article on Brookings, and we'll put it in the show notes because this article is worth it for people to read. It's really, really thought provoking. Do you want to kind of start talking about it, or do you want me to talk about it? What do you want to do?
Go ahead, jump into it.
Okay, so really, what Kirst is so first off, who the heck is Michael Kirst, right? So Michael Kirst is the former president of the State Board of Education. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm. President? Yeah. Okay, so right now we have Linda Darling Hammond, who's fantastic. She really is a true practitioner of good education and supporter of that. So she's fantastic. But Michael Kirst was a former one. I think he did 2 terms, if I recall correctly.
I think they were split terms, but I think from my understanding, I have to go back and look at my historical, but I think that he might be the longest standing state board president.
So the dude knows his stuff. Yeah. So he's come out with a couple of articles, one back in October, but we're going to talk about this one that just came out a couple of days ago, about a week ago, where he talks about like thinking about how do we support teachers throughout their professional journey. Like we do a lot of talk about teacher preparation and credential programs, but what he's talking about is what do we need to do? We need to think about how do we support teachers throughout their career. And he says, our current status quo is stinky. because essentially the role of the state, the role of everything is really largely get people into the teaching profession. And then the way the system is now, it's like sink or swim, and there's nothing else. We don't really have a system planned for you to help you grow for the next 20 or 30 years of your career. And he's saying we need to rethink that. And so this is a California Math Council podcast. He's not thinking California Math Council, but we are. We're going to read through this quickly, this article, with a California Math Council lens and say, how can we participate in his thinking? And he's basically, I'm scrolling through the article here, and he's basically saying, yeah, the status quo stinks, and I've got an idea. And he's quoting from the research from the Learning Policy Institute, which coincidentally is Linda Darling-Hammond's stuff. Mm. Yeah. And he has these 7 things. And so what I thought we would do is just trudge through, and let's do it in I don't know how long we've been recording. Let's say about 10 minutes. So let's see if we could do this in about 15 minutes. 7 bullets, 15 minutes. That's about 2 minutes a bullet.
Yikes.
I know. So we're going to do this.
Do you not know us?
I do. That's why
we need 5. We need 5 a bullet, man.
We need a whole episode per bullet. And so we might revisit this a while, but
we're going to have to.
I'm going to look at these 7 bullets through the lens of, and how can California Math Council support this, right? How do we do this? So number 1 was focus on curriculum, standards, and content. That's high quality instructional materials, which we're already advocating for. That's our role in our Gates Foundation work that we're doing.
Right. Yes, and how do you distinguish between what that bullet calls for and this kind of competing or in partnership idea of curriculum-based professional learning versus what I hear is like true alignment in professional learning around the content and the stand? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like in my mind, there's a little bit of a weight, a balance system that's happening there, because we want the curriculum to be standard aligned and the content there, but I feel like this is almost saying that it needs to be more of standard professional learning versus curriculum.
Oh, I wasn't thinking of them in competition. So, because when we talk about content, we have to have some sort of materials in front of us when we're working with teachers. Yeah. We're going to have their curriculum in front of us so that we know what content we're going to be talking about. And that kind of seems to already make it curriculum-based professional learning a little bit, kind of nudges. Mm-hmm. That was my thought. I don't know. Although from a California Math Council point of view, when we invite people to our conferences, we have to talk general kinds of things. We have to talk general content or standards, because we can't talk about specific curriculum because we don't know who's in the room, right?
I think our biggest focus really has been on outside of the curricular levels and really more along the standards alignment with it. We want people to be aware. Here's a practice that works, regardless of your curriculum, attacking this particular standard or this particular topic. I think that's something that CMC across all 3 sections has done an exceptional job of doing when you attend.
Mm-hmm. So that leads to the second bullet, which is incorporation of active learning. So when we're talking to these wide range of people and we don't know exactly what curriculum each person is using, we have to talk broad terms. And one of them is we need to advocate for active learning in the classroom, and not active meaning they're actively taking notes. We're talking active engagement through investigation and connections. That's kind of chapter 2 of the California Math Framework.
But what does this look like at the teacher professional learning level? Right. So that's what we want teachers to be doing with their students. But if we were to back out and do our conference session or through a PD, what might that look like to have active learning with teachers?
Oh, so you're interpreting that bullet as it needs to be active for the adults who are learning. Oh,
See,
I'd have to agree with that too.
Like I'm interpreting this as a list of what should the professional learning entail to get teachers where they need to get to support what needs to happen in the classroom.
Oh man, I like your interpretation way better than mine. So you're saying whatever professional learning the adults are experiencing, it needs to be active.
But what does that look like? If you know, in your mind, like what would be an example of?
Can I try something from a lived experience today?
Yeah.
So I was working with 22 admins from a school district, and they all came to a 9-hour training with me, 6 hours yesterday, 3 hours today.
Talk about miserable.
Oh man, it
That wasn't drinking anything right there.
Man, it was fantastic because first off, the district, kudos to the district because they know part of getting teachers to grow in the classroom and implement things is to get the administrators on board so that the administrators can support them and when we're not on campus. And so I had 25 administrators in the room. And so yesterday we talked about number talks, math language routines. We talked about teaching through problem solving, kind of the stuff. Today was really them practicing it. So I led another number talk today. They'd seen one yesterday, but I did another one today just to refresh their memory. And then I put up posters all around the room. They got into groups of 4 and they stood at the posters and simulated a brand new number talk on their own. I gave them a list of problems that they could choose from as their number talk. So they chose whichever one was comfortable for them to do. They all chose addition. Nobody chose subtraction or multiplication. And, but that was what I think might be an example of active learning for the adults is they had to go up and actually practice at the boards. We debriefed through a praise and push protocol where the adults pretending to be students provided a single praise for the person acting as a teacher and a single push. So a praise is like something positive that they want that teacher to continue doing. It was an admin, but they were pretending to be a teacher. And then the push is one suggestion for how to improve in some fashion. And then we rotated and we did a second round of the same thing with a new person pretending to be the teacher. Is that an example of what you're kind of thinking about?
Yeah, I think that kind of helps me and hopefully the audience kind of like, what would that look like? It's not what you might think of a sit and get PD thing where they come and we just tell them what to think and then they go off and hope they do what we told them to do.
Right.
Right. They have and then the last part you just mentioned makes me, and that's the second to last bullet here, this opportunities for feedback and reflection is this pull and push idea that you just mentioned, or this praise and push.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if after doing it once, if they ever had another opportunity to go back and do it again, they would change it for something a little more rigorous, moving out of addition. If they mean more, okay, I'm comfortable with addition. Now I want to try something more complicated, but with those same strategies.
Well, that would be
cool to do.
That would be the third bullet: support for teacher collaboration, where the teachers are now able to try something because they're doing things in collaboration with one another. So we have to find some way to change our stinking system that doesn't create space for teachers to support each other through collaboration. But yes, we need to find a way to allow for teacher collaboration.
All right. So I'm going to go counter for just a moment and say that I think actually CMC and county offices have done a really good job of this over the past 5 to 7 years. The problem is, though, we're not getting to enough people. So I guess I love what you're saying here, but how do we get to people? How do we get them? Or I guess maybe this way, maybe reframe it. How do we change the mindset about professional learning? I think we talked about this. This feels familiar for some reason. Did you go like a month ago? So didn't we kind of get into this water, in this little mud bog about a month ago?
Probably.
Feels familiar. Anyway,
go Cole.
Well, I hear you saying that like they're doing a good job of that, but then I as I'm sitting here reflecting on this list and I'm thinking about, I'll even just use Central as an example because that's the one that we have the most control over. When I think about planning Central and what we decide, because we do all invite for speakers. But as I look at this list and I'm thinking about like, who are we inviting and what are we asking them to speak on? And how does that reflect on what is being laid out here as good professional learning? It's kind of a spray and pray approach, right? We're trying to pull in the buzzy, flashy, flash in a pan type of thing because we know that's what's going to draw people. But very rarely are those sessions actually focused on curriculum, standards, and content. They're focused on number talks. They're focused on whatever is that the book or whatever is out there.
Right.
What we know is going to draw people is how we dictate, what should be there when that may not be what people really need. And it's kind of got this competing interest. And I'm wondering, what does that mean and how do we impact that? And is it at the conference level or is it something that we're thinking about impacting more at like the webinar level? Because I even think about the webinar that we're hosting. It's a lot of the same, right? They're great. And there's nothing against presenters. It's all great presenters. It's all great things. But I don't know that it's actually getting us closer to this in either of those deliveries. And part of it's the amount of time you have. An hour conference session or an hour webinar, it's really hard to do these things. But I would argue that especially on the CMC, I don't know that we're here yet or close to here yet.
No, you know what? I think you're challenging CMC to do better with how they arrange their speakers, all three regions, all three conferences. And I'm going to guide us towards the fourth bullet, which is the use of models of effective teaching practices. So when we get our speakers at our symposiums and our conferences, we really do need to be modeling effective teaching practices, not like, which involves doing real math, but modeling what the heck effective teaching practices look like. And I think we need to just put a stake in the ground and say, this is what we believe. Join us or don't, and be very deliberate about describing what effective teaching practice looks like.
And that goes to, I'm not, never mind.
Okay. So
I guess, this, I'll be honest with you. I'm about ready to throw a boulder in the pond. And I'm not sure we want to get that rocky with as little time as we have left. I'll put a pin in this one because
that'll be a future episode. Then it'll be.
Yeah, I have a very strong opinion about where this needs to start.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Cole.
When I hear you, Scott, because I think that like maybe there's another layer. Because I think that what the conferences offer is a good start, right? It gets people excited about seeing something different, or it could be a good change. Like, I'm not saying like we need to blow up the conference and start over, but it's not doing this. But I think that something that's closer to something like this is like when we had talked about doing like a kindergarten day where we're unpacking the 4 different content connections, or we're expanding, Saturday series or, things like that are on the future list of things to think about that gets us into the actual curriculum standards and content. Because I feel like that is the piece we don't spend enough time in.
All right. So what that pushes us to like that 5th bullet, which is saying, okay, so clearly the conferences might be a start, might get people interested, but what we need to do is provide teachers through CMC. We could do this through CMC, access to coaching and expert support. So this ongoing, so this is the last bullet as well, this ongoing, sustained over time repeated experience for the teacher in the classroom to have repeated looks of what effective teaching practices are, repeated access to coaching so that they can talk about it and practice it in the classroom with support of a coach. And it's got to be over time. It's not a one and done. It's not even a 1 year thing. It's probably a multi-year. In fact, that's the whole point of this article, is how do we support teachers throughout their career, not just 1 year in their career.
And I think the biggest piece of that is how do we support those coaches as well in this particular piece right here? Just a personal anecdote. 2 years ago, Pam Harris is at the Central Symposium. Myself and my teaching partner go there, and my teaching partner goes to Pam Harris's breakout session, and he comes back and he's like, he is in every coach, every administrator's ear going, you need to bring her in. You need to bring her in. You need to bring her in. She's got the right idea. And that says a lot. When your teacher goes to a training, they have that, like, this is good. We need this. It's part of the reason why we need to have admin come into these conferences. It's part of the reason why coaches need to be going to these conferences, so they can have these debriefs with each other, so they can start talking about how they go forward. Maybe they can't bring her in personally, but maybe they can do some webinar work with her. Maybe we can do other sorts of things to to move in that direction, because we know the money has been there. You guys are a little better on that tab than I am right now, but we've been writing it into our LCAPs for years, or our SIPSAs, or I forget which one. Pick an acronym document, but I think it's when the teachers are coming and saying, I want more about this. We can't just go cool and move on. We have to be reactive. Coaches have to react to it. Administrators have to react to it.
That's true. We have to, not only bottled up in all these 7 bullet points, not only are we focusing on teachers, but we also have to support the coaches to make it happen. Because typically the way we identify coaches is we just randomly pull a teacher from the classroom who's reasonably good at teaching kids, and then say, now go teach adults. 2 totally different skill sets.
We've never trained them.
Right. It's 2 totally different behaviors, and you can't just assume that a person can translate their teaching experience in the classroom with kids to how to work with adults. It's a whole nother thing. Man, this was good. We didn't even get to his idea about micro-credentialing. Maybe that could be another.
Yeah, we'd have to talk about that. And even the last 2 bullet points there, the feedback and reflection piece, that's the ongoing piece that you mentioned. Being reflective.
Yeah.
Trying new things, the PDSA cycle. There's all these things we can add into it that coaches predominantly don't have. Not many coaches would have in their back pocket to use. But that's where things like CV Nick out of, that Stephanie was doing made a huge impact in our area anyway.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
those types of those Nicks. Yeah, because it was all about change and with support. So it was amazing. It was good stuff. Need to get Stephanie in for one of our webinars.
It's a good idea. Good idea. Cole, anything for the good of the order?
No, I think that now is a good time, though, if there are district leaders and coaches thinking about, their next year's math learning, to really be reflecting on this article and to go through and kind of read it and just ask themselves questions. Like, it's saying this is best practice. Where am I at in making sure that these 7 things are kind of checked off in my plan for next year and beyond? Summer's a great time to do that, because it's not too late. I mean, you are thinking about your back to school kickoff weeks or your, buyback days and all of those things. Like, you may already have a plan, but it's not too late to adjust your plan to make sure that it's built for more sustainable success kind of long-term. And so this is a great time to do that. And
when you're doing that and you need support, maybe contact California Math Council as one of your supporters instead, in addition to your county office or of these expensive third-party things. Maybe go to California Math Council, because it turns out we know a thing or two. Scott, anything for the good of the order?
No, man, it's just good to see you guys. Glad to get back and we should be back into a rhythm here, hopefully.
I like it. I'm gonna edit this baby. We'll get it in, and I'll get it out by Friday. Let's do Friday. Is that okay?
All right, I'll have a lemon bar in your honor on Thursday.
All right. So we need to remind anybody who's made it this far. Come on. We need them to press the subscribe button on any of the major services. What else do we need to tell them? Oh, I would love comments. Like, I want to know what future topics we should do. I would love some sort of attaboy. And by the way, we need to talk about Justin Lanier. If I'm remembering his name, I am Justin Lanier. That dude, I should have said it at the beginning of the episode. We need to talk about his ideas. He is a hoot, and he's been providing us some really good feedback. Speaking of feedback, I love it. So we
put those in the show. We'll put those in our production notes.
Yeah, we'll put that in our future episode. Absolutely. Hey guys,
I think it's on my phone. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. See you guys.
All right. Take care.